Welcome to episode 62 of OTD, your daily dose of soccer history by a 17-loss guy. Happy New Year, and thank you, generally, for sticking with a daily 10-minute football history show. If you've listened, shared, rated, or sent a correction, you've helped keep this project alive. And today, a special thank you to Hearts Heritage. After episode 55 about the first Edinburgh Derby on Christmas Day 1875, they sent me a brilliant suggestion, because this story is not just football history, it's broadcast history, wartime history, pure Scottish absurdity, all smashed into one match. It's January 1st, 1940. We're in Edinburgh at Easter Road, Hibernian versus Hearts, and the match is played in fog so thick that watching is almost the wrong word for what the crowd is doing. But the real twist is this. The match is also on the radio, and the commentator, a man listed as R.E. Kingsley, Robert Kingsley, known as Rex, is told to talk as if it's a clear sunny day. Not because the BBC has lost its mind, but because Britain is at war, and weather is intelligence. So today we're going to do three things. We'll set the wartime scene, why a football match ends up tangled with secrecy. We'll tell the story of the broadcast, the phantom commentary that becomes legend. And then we'll walk through the reality on the pitch, because the truth is, even if you could see it, the match itself was ridiculous. So let's start with the war logic. By 1940, Britain has already learned how modern war works, information matters, and weather matters. Early in the war, the BBC's regular weather bulletins are halted, forecasts are treated as operationally sensitive. You don't casually hand an enemy a live update that could help them plan routes, rates, timing, visibility. Even if it sounds harmless, it can be useful. And in a coastal, military-connected environment like the Firth of Forth region, that sensitivity isn't theoretical. It's lived. Only weeks into the war, German aircraft attacked targets at Rosyth on the Firth of Forth, in what's often described as the first German air raid on Britain. So people in Britain did not need to be convinced that Edinburgh area conditions were a trivial detail. Now put that mindset into a football stadium. It's New Year's Day. Hibs versus Hearts, the Edinburgh Derby, in the War League Eastern Division. A match with ritual weight even in wartime. And Easter Road is wrapped in a fog, a pea-souper, the kind of fog where the referee, the players, and the crowd can't see much more than a few yards in front of them. In peacetime, you'd abandon it. But this isn't peacetime. The match is scheduled for broadcast, specifically as entertainment for servicemen overseas. And the thinking, bizarre as it sounds now, is that postponing the broadcast or openly discussing the dense fog on air risks signaling precise weather conditions in Edinburgh. So the game goes ahead, and a commentator goes to work on something he can't actually see. Here's the problem. Radio commentary is supposed to be description, a live translation of movement into words. But Rex Kingsley is effectively commentating on a wall of white. So he tries a workaround. Runners, messengers moving between the pitch and the commentary position, relaying what they can about what's happening. And of course that collapses instantly, because a runner can't give you the rhythm of a match. They can give you fragments, late fragments, confused fragments. And if you try to stitch fragments into live narration, we end up narrating nonsense. So Kingsley does the only thing left. He performs. He improvises. He invents. He talks as if the day is clear. He paints a match full of drama and movement, a match the listeners can see in their heads, even though the match in front of him is mostly invisible. And that's how you get one of football's strangest ideas. A real match played for real points with real goals, and a radio version that becomes effectively fiction. Now here's the best part. Even if Kingsley can't see, it turns out the match is doing the one thing that makes radio easiest. Goals. Lots of goals. Hibs versus Hearts, January 1st, 1940 ends. Hibernian 5, Hearts 6. 11 goals in a derby in fog during wartime while the commentator is essentially freestyling. And the scoring has its own madness. At halftime, Hibs think they're ahead 3-2, except the referee Peter Craigmile has blown early around the 43rd minute. He realizes his mistake, and the teams come back out to finish the half. And in those extra minutes, Hearts score twice. So the match flips, not after tactical team talk, not after momentum, but because the official clock briefly breaks reality. Then the second half keeps climbing. Hearts stretch the lead. Hibs draw it back. There's a hat-trick for Hibs. John Cuthbertson completing it as they pull level at 5-5. And then, near the end, Hearts find the final punch. Tommy Walker with the winning goal to make it 6-5. And you have to pause on how absurd that is. A last-minute derby winner is usually a moment you see forever. But in this match, a significant portion of the crowd doesn't probably see anything. They hear roars, they infer, they guess, they turn their heads towards sound. And one of the darker comic footnotes is that many spectators don't even immediately realize the match is finished, because the final whistle inside a fog bank doesn't look like an ending. It's just another sound in the mist. So what's the meaning of this story beyond the fact that it's brilliant? Well, 3 takeaways. First, football is never isolated from its time. We like to pretend sport is a clean bubble, 90 minutes that exist outside politics and war. But here, war dictates whether a foggy match can be postponed, what can be said on air, and whether a commentator is allowed to tell the truth about the sky. Second, commentary isn't not just reporting, it's storytelling under pressure. Kingsley isn't merely bad at describing the match. He's asked to perform the impossible, deliver a coherent broadcast without admitting that vision has collapsed. And what comes out is something halfway between journalism and theater. Now third, the myth survives because the truth is already unbelievable. If you wrote 11 goal derby in near zero visibility with a halftime that isn't halftime, and a commentator inventing reality for overseas listeners, people would call it fiction. But it happened, and that's why it lasts. So much that Scottish playwright Andrew Dolmeyer in 2002 completed a stage play called Playing a Blinder to recreate Rick Kingsley's unique improvisation. On this day in 1940, Easter Road hosted a match that reminds you what football really is: a civic ritual, a story engine, and sometimes, when history leans on it hard enough, a strange little theater of national life. That's all for episode 62 of OTD, Hibs 5, Part 6, the Fog Derby, and the BBC commentary that had to become imagination. And again, thank you to Hearts Heritage for the suggestion. If you got your own favorite match you can't quite believe happened, a cup tie, wartime oddity, anything, email me at otd@17lawsky.com. And please rate us 5 stars, subscribe, and tell a friend. Daily podcasts don't grow on their own. They grow because listeners like Hearts Heritage decide to help. Tomorrow, in episode 63, we'll remain in Scotland, go back 10 years, to 1930, and to one of the wildest debuts ever. Jimmy Dyatt, who turns up to watch his brother play, gets pulled into the team, and scores 8 on debut. See you then.